Hi, welcome to Beer Bellies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Ronnie.
And tonight we are drinking a couple of Oktoberfest beers. So tonight we've got an episode from the Oktoberfest series. We're tasting a couple of imports. We've got the Spaten Oktoberfest and we've got the Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer. Let's start with the Spaten Oktoberfest. First thing to note is this one is pretty dark in color.
Yeah.
It's like a dark amber, almost a brown color. The smell on it is kind of Euro beer smell.
Yeah.
The taste has a little bit of that Euro beer taste, but with more of a malty flavor to it.
Yeah.
Similar to the browns that we've had.
Yeah, for sure. There's, I would say, a minimal amount of skunk on this.
Yeah. It looks like it would be kind of a beer with a lot of spice flavor to it, but the spice is pretty light on this.
Although now that you say spice, I do taste it more.
So I think you can expect most of these Oktoberfest beers to have a certain level of spice to them.
Okay.
It's kind of the part of the tradition.
Now, what ingredients gives you that?
Generally, it'd be the type of malt. So like a rye will give you more spice. This is very traditional in terms of Oktoberfest beers. It's somewhat light to drink because when it's Oktoberfest time, you're drinking from sunrise to sunset and beyond. So you got to be able to put down a large number of these. So even though it's kind of darker in color, it still drinks pretty light.
It's pretty crisp taste to me.
Let's try the Hofbrau one.
All right.
I don't smell much on the Hofbrau at all. It doesn't have a strong aroma whatsoever.
No, I'm barely getting anything.
So this flavor to me is super smooth.
Yeah.
Wow, that's easy to drink.
I don't get that spice flavor. And maybe that has something to do with like the color too.
Yeah, so one thing to note is the Hofbrau is a much lighter color than the Spaten. But I'm actually really surprised by this. This Hofbrau is pretty good.
Yeah, it's surprisingly, it's refreshing. There's no overbearing flavor in any direction, I would say. Like no skunk, no, it's got a traditional beer taste maybe, but like it's not in any way displeasing.
It's packed with with all the flavors that you would expect from a German beer.
It's just so even though.
Yeah. You taste hops, you taste malt, you taste the yeast, but it's smooth.
This is a good flavored sessionable beer.
Wow.
From what I can taste.
I would drink a gigantic mug of that.
Assuming that as it warms up, it's going to keep that kind of crisp, clean taste.
Yeah, so direct taste comparison. The Spaten now seems much more dominated by malts, whereas the Hofbrau is like completely even across the board.
But yeah, the Hofbrau, no matter that, even if you drink it right after the Spaten, it still maintains.
Something interesting about this is both of these breweries are actually based in Munich, the same city.
Okay.
And they're imports over here, and they've got American distributors, and because they're so big. So one of my favorite things about fall is trying all these different Oktoberfest beers. So most of the American breweries have gotten in on the trend, and they create their own Oktoberfest beers. Some hit the mark, some miss the mark, but it's still really enjoyable to try them all out. Even if they turn out not to be that great of a beer, it's still really cool to try.
And for me, these are kind of new. I would say, thinking about Oktoberfest, you obviously think about fall, right? This just kind of reminds me of that, right? Based on drinking a lot of IPAs, summer type beers, whatever, summer ales. And like that, when you think about fall, you can smell it coming, right? That crisp, cool air.
Yeah.
And the taste and the smell on these are very similar to that.
They match that.
Yeah.
So as far as availability goes, both of these are readily stocked in all of your big liquor stores. These are major imports. Pretty much everybody's going to have these. Okay. So you can go almost anywhere and you're going to find Spaten and Hofbrau Oktoberfest beers. These actually aren't that expensive. Both of these were available in the mix of 6, showing kind of how available they are, and that puts them at 14 cents per ounce.
Nice. Are you going to strictly stick with German foods with this, or can you venture outside a little bit?
So I usually save a couple of these until Thanksgiving, and I know Oktoberfest is done by then.
Okay.
But with a good Thanksgiving meal, these beers actually
I can see this
are perfect
with some turkey and gravy for sure.
Yep. So even though these taste really drinkable, you should be aware of ABV on them.
Okay.
German beers are going to be a little bit higher.
All right.
So the Spaten is 5.9.
Okay.
And the Hofbrau is 6.3% ABV.
Ooh.
The ABV is a little bit higher than the drinkability would tend to make you think.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I would, if I had to guess what the ABV were on either one of these, I wouldn't say it was more than 5 on either one.
So 3 quick points on these. The Spaten, in comparison to the Hofbrau, has a little bit more sweetness and maybe a little bit more spiciness. The Hofbrau really surprised me with the complexity of flavor and how much it just kind of, without being able to describe it eloquently, I'm surprised at how good it tastes. And then the third point is, when I first looked at these and I poured them out, I said, oh, I'm going to like the Spaten way better than the Hofbrau. It's darker. It's going to be, it's going to have this maltiness. It's going to be spicier. It's going to have more flavor to it. In general, I think the Hofbrau actually just tastes a little bit better than the Spaten.
For me, both these beers, when you drink them, it feels like fall, right? That crisp, clean air that you smell coming, when fall is coming. That's what these beers are like. The Spaten, maybe you throw a little pumpkin spice onto it, and then the Hofbrau, I don't know. I have to agree with Nate. There's something about it. It's just clean. It's crisp. Both of these remind me of fall, but maybe the Spaten's a little more celebratory, with those that festive spice to it. But man, this Hofbrau, it embodies fall. If you could throw fall in a drink, there it is.
With that, I'd like to thank you for watching this episode of Beer Bellies. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave any requested reviews in the comments. Cheers.
Cheers. Good. That's very interesting.